Alright, at Victoria Station again. We just made it in. It worked, yay!
So basically, I'm the boss.
Alright, you ready? Okay, so now we're headed to Buckingham Palace. We're running a little later than I wanted to, but it was worth it to save, honestly, $30 just by going off-peak, which is after 9. So, pro tip there, off-peak travel is definitely better. Okay, we made it to Buckingham Palace. We're gonna watch the changing of the guard soon. We got about a half hour to go. And there it is. One of my favorite pieces of architecture were the gates. We actually stood by the gates on the left, but I would recommend actually standing by the gates on the right because that is where most of the action was easier to see.
You know that song?
Sort of.
So the changing the guard is a long drawn out process that if you're not really into it, you might get bored. I know our kids were wondering why we were standing around so long, but we really wanted to see it at least once in our lives, and now they can say they've seen it as well. It probably took over an hour as you wait for the troops to march down the street, get to the ceremony at Buckingham Palace, and then march back up the street. So you can see a little bit of it here, but I didn't want to take up the whole entire video with it, so you can enjoy just some of the highlights. Just to give you an idea of what the main square looked like, show you around a little bit. You can see everybody was kept off the streets during the ceremony, but there were places to congregate. There was a nice fountain in the middle, of course lots of coins in the fountain, and some really cool statues. What did you think about the changing of the guard?
It was long.
It was long, but was it kind of fun anyway?
Yeah.
Becca, what did you think of the changing of the guard?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something.
Yes.
So, it was really cool. There were two guys and they walked right up to us. Literally.
Nice.
They were like a foot or two away
Yeah.
from
Now what are we gonna do?
the London Eye.
And here's another tip. If at all possible, you really don't want to be on the London Eye with a school trip because it got very, very loud during that entire excursion with a bunch of kids, and they were well behaved. I'm not really complaining so much. It just really hurt the ears sometimes. It wasn't as peaceful perhaps as we had thought it might be, but it was air conditioned. which was very nice. And basically you get in and you go up. You can see Big Ben there, Parliament. You can see the Thames River. Here we are about at the very top. There are many things that you can point out. We did see Buckingham Palace, Westminster Abbey, and it was fun to see it from way up high. The whole trip around takes about a half hour, and it can be kind of pricey, but it is definitely something that is fun to do. Next, we hopped back on the tube and got off at the Baker Street station. It was really cool how they decorated the walls. They had pictures from some of Sherlock Holmes' mysteries, some of the original pictures, just a lot bigger. So it was lots of fun to go down through and read all of the signs and look at the beautiful artwork. And once we were back up above ground, we were greeted by the Sherlock Holmes statue. Just down the street, you walk and find 221B Baker Street. This location was created specifically for the fictional character of Sherlock Holmes, and now, yes, it is a tourist trap, but it was fun to see a place that we had read about. We weren't allowed to take videos, but we were allowed to take pictures. So here are some pictures of the famous detective's living quarters. You see his violin, his science set, his hat, magnifying glass, just so many different fun touches. This is a wall of some of his most devious criminals. So we really had fun. This third level is where you will see wax figures depicting scenes from some of his mysteries. And of course there was a gift shop at the end with everything from pens to cups to bags and everything in between. There were books, just lots to buy, of course, and any souvenir you could want. Our next stop was just a walk down the street to Madame Tussaud, since we had combo tickets with our London Eye ticket. Here it shows you once we entered, we went up some stairs, and then it was time to walk the red carpet. They try to make it feel as much like you're on the red carpet as possible, all the paparazzi. Madame Tussauds is a wax museum with lots of different wax figures, from celebrities to historical figures to political figures. And basically it's one big selfie fest. So if you want a picture with a famous person that you know you will never meet, this is the place to go. It might not have been our first choice of places to go, but it was so much fun and definitely an experience if you get a chance. They have them in cities all over the world. There are over 150 wax figures at Madame Tussaud, and many of them have really cool backgrounds, and they even had a section where they showed how they made the wax figures. Here is the former Prime Minister, who had just resigned the day before. They have a photographer take pictures of you standing with the royal family, and then they sell those pictures in the gift shop for you if you would like it. We quickly squeezed in a selfie because it was fun to actually meet Her Royal Highness. There was a whole section for Star Wars characters. You could be part of a lightsaber fight, well, a picture anyway.
All right.
Or chill with Han at the cantina. And then there was lots of superhero scenes that were set up too. Next we hopped back on the tube and we got to Picadilly Circus. They say Picadilly Circus is much like Times Square. I was told that there's a lot of nightlife that goes on here, which makes sense because it's very close to the West End, which is the theater district, and we'll be going there in a little bit. But first, we were very close to Chinatown. We were really hungry for some good Chinese food, and it didn't disappoint. Again, you'll see there were street performers pretty much everywhere.
Portuguese indie pop musician based in London, and I hope you enjoyed this cover of Michael Field and also the cover of Fleetwood Mac that I just did before this one.
and lots of Chinese food to pick from. Just keep in mind, you want to make sure you have some pounds, cash, in Chinatown, because most of the restaurants that we were seeing gave a price and said that they did not accept credit cards. So it's not the easiest thing to find an ATM there. I would recommend making sure that you have cash on hand. They had a lot of buffets, and we were excited because in America the Chinese food is different, and it's been a year since we've had American Chinese food, so seeing all the fried offerings they had was really exciting for us. So we finally found a place that we wanted to eat, and this is what the buffet looked like in there. We had a quick hot dinner, and then we had to head back out again because it is time to go to our West End musical. We decided that we wanted to go to Delphi, the theater, because they were showing Back to the Future, the musical, and so that was the one we chose to go to. We got tickets a few weeks beforehand. The tickets I got the cheapest tickets they had, which were about 20 pounds per person. Now that did mean that we got nosebleed seats, but it was okay.
When they say nosebleed, they mean nosebleed.
Yes, we were at the very, very top, but it was okay because we got to see a musical in West End, and we'll never forget that. This is another thing I would recommend getting tickets ahead of time because I believe our showing sold out. I'm guessing that by just how many seats were filled. It looked like every seat was filled. And as you go in, of course, there's a chance to buy souvenirs, to buy snacks. I will warn you, snacks are very expensive, so eating beforehand like we did is definitely a good idea. Again, we were not allowed to take video during the performance, but I would definitely say it is worth it to go to a West End show if they're anything like the one we went to. DeLorean and the choreography, I do believe that this was my kids' favorite part of London. They would go back in a heartbeat. I think they would just want seats closer to the front. Keep in mind the shows do get out very late at night.
Just got to see Back to the Future at West End. Totally cool. Adapted from the movies, and it was a win. Definitely a win.
Thankfully, the bus stop was right across the street, so we didn't have to walk the whole way back to the metro. We hopped on a double-decker bus because, as my son reminded me, we had not taken a double-decker bus in the place where they are most well known for. So he was very happy, even though I think he fell asleep on the way back to the metro. We got to check out some of the sights on the way back to Victoria Station. We got on our train and headed back to Swanley to hit the sack. We're going to get a late start tomorrow, but tomorrow is a driving day, so we have plenty of time built in. We are going to go to Wales by way of Stonehenge. See you there. We didn't have time to do this walk, but the Diana Princess of Wales Memorial Walk covers about 8 miles, past many landmarks, through 4 different parks, and there are 90 medallions, so it's a good walk.
Sorted out pretty quickly, and then it was time to be built. The sculptors worked fast. I could tell they had done this zillions of times before. They used calipers to make most of my measurements, like the distance from the tip of my chin to the top of my chin, from the base of my neck to my tragus. That's the placement to my ear, by the way. All in all, it took about 200 measurements, and each one was marked into a special chart. Next came the fun bit. Steve brought out a box of